So today is shower day. We're trying to figure out where our shower pan's gonna go. Looks like it's gonna be about right there. No, here. It's gonna go here, which is probably the most jacked up part of our floor, but that's where it's going anywhere. Now I kind of have to figure out how to get out of here. This was easier when I was 20, which was only about 3 years ago. Oh. Hey guys, it's Mark. Welcome back to the channel. So today is a really exciting day. We finally start the shower. So if you've been following along, we just finished our framing. We did the wheel boxes just on the last episode. But today we're actually going to start kind of bulking up this area and building the shower off of that. So we're going to use 1x3. In fact, let me actually show you a diagram of what we're about to do. So we're going to use 1x3 walls on either end. We were thinking of using plywood, but we weren't sure where we were going to hide the plumbing components. I've seen people use plywood, and I think if you've got some kind of a bookshelf or a closet next to the shower, you can probably hide some of the plumbing in there. We don't have that, so we'd have a lot of exposed plumbing, which we don't want. So we're not using 3/4 inch plywood walls. We're actually going to frame them out and use 2x3. So one of them's going to go here. You see I started it. The other one's going probably about right here. Now if you watch the framing video, I did bulk up these areas a little bit. I also put some support pieces in the ceiling to hold the walls when I put them up. The next order of business is to figure out how I'm going to get past some of these structural framing pieces because they're sticking out further than the wall is. Got one little section here that's not too bad, but this whole white mess just sticks out past the framing. And I know I could probably get around it by putting sort of an angled back wall in the shower, but the thing's already small enough. I don't want to lose a whole bunch of room here. So what I may do is just bulk up this wall a little bit, maybe another 1/2 inch, and that would allow me to come maybe up to here before I hit this framing. Then that little angled piece I put in that corner won't be so bad. So I think that's what we're going to do. So let's just get started. So like I said, the big problem here is that these walls are pretty straight. The problem is here we start to hit this white kind of structural framing piece, and it protrudes past the framing of the wall. So now I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the back of the shower, because it's going to hit this and it's going to want to curl out or something. So my thought is to build the wall out a little bit, maybe even just a 1/2 inch would allow us to get up a little higher. Then basically when the back of the shower, when I put it in, I can put it about up to here, and all I've got to do is build a little corner piece out. So if I take a straight piece of wood, I see that I probably get about up to here before I start to hit this structural framing stuff. So my thought is to take 1/2 inch material. I've got these poplar kind of hobby boards from Home Depot. If I stick them here, then my framing can go up to almost right about here before it starts to hit anything, and at that point I think we've kind of solved our problem. So I'm going to start by bulking up some of the back wall, getting it where I want it, and then we'll start putting in the side walls after that. So the framing of the walls, building up the walls is done. Like I said, I had a lot of this wood in the garage from previous projects. That's why there's holes all over the place. But it did build the wall out about 1/2 inch, and now I can take that Curdy board and I can stick it up here, and it actually goes all the way till about right there before it starts to hit the white framing. So at that point I'll just put a corner on the top of the shower and it won't take up much room at all. So I also left a bit of a gap between here and the wall so I can actually fit a piece of Curdy board. It should fit nicely in there. In fact, let's see if it does. Hopefully my measurements aren't far off. Yeah, there we go. So it fits nicely in there, and then the other one will snug up right next to it. Okay, next step is to start building this wall. I actually, if you look, I actually already built the pan last night, and I'll show you now how I built it. I was sort of super tired, but just was too restless to sleep, so I went into the garage and worked on it. That's why I kind of look like a zombie while I'm making it, but I'll show you how I did that now, and then we'll get to the framing of this wall and then that one. So what I've done now is I've made a wood frame for the pan. So basically I took 1x6, and I ripped it down to 4 inches. And I have cut 2 pieces to 32 inches. Actually, the pan is just a little bit shy of 32 inches, so make sure you measure because they're not always 24 by 32 just because they say they are. I've got 4 pieces. And these long ones are going to go on the outside. So I basically got 2 that are 32 inches long, and the shorter pieces I've cut at 24 minus 1.5, so 22.5 inches. So that'll count for the width of these 2 pieces. Now, one other little problem is my pan. I'm not sure if you can see, but the pan starts to bend right there. So we actually can't fit a full 3/4 inch piece of wood there. So I've had to use my bandsaw to kind of route this area out on the wood. Could have used a router, but router was going to make an absolutely awful mess. So I kind of winged it with the bandsaw. And now I've done those 2 pieces. I've got to do one of the end pieces. So basically, I mark it where it's got to cut, and then I'll use my bandsaw to take this edge away, and I should be able to fit it all together. Alright, so I've cut all those pieces on the bandsaw, and assuming I've done this correctly, this should fit. Alright, so not bad, not bad. We are probably about 1/4 inch over there. So what I'll do is I will just run these back through these side pieces back through the saw and take off, oh, looks like, yeah, about 1/4 inch, maybe a little less. Let's do that. Our shower pan frame is done. Fits really well. Like I said, we had to kind of notch some of these edges to make it fit, and I did choose to use the bandsaw. It probably would have been better with a router, but a router would have made a ton of sawdust that I didn't want to deal with, so I just used the bandsaw. Now keep something in mind, when you build this frame, you're not looking to elevate the pan off the floor. The pan has this nice foam bottom that's really strong that you want to be on the ground. You're really just using the pan to support the edges a little bit. So my big concern was somebody's trying to get out of the shower and they step here, and I didn't want this to be unsupported. So basically this frame really is just to support the edges of the pan, and then the foam bottom will do the rest. So this is good. Let's take it to the van and get it fit, and then let's fix up that rest of that framing and we should be done. So one more thing we changed in the shower pan frame since last night when I built it. You can see I put in these pocket holes so that I could screw it down to the subfloor in a bunch of different places. I also built up the front edge with some 2x material. This is 2x3. I was going to use 2x6 and just shave it down, but I had 2x3 and 2x2 left over, so I put those here. So it completely supports the front. And then when I put the pan on, it is really solid. So if somebody steps on this front while they're getting out of the shower, it's completely supported. So that works well. It's nice and square. Now we've got to get it installed in there. So in case I forgot to tell you what this orange stuff is, this is called Curdy board. It's from a company called Schluter. There's a bunch of different varieties, but it's basically a foam backer board. So you can use this in place of that heavy board that you used to use to put tile on. So this is basically going to be the back and the sides of our shower, and then FRP will go on top of it. We may even put a little bit of actual tile, some lightweight tile on one side of it, maybe just the back. I'm not sure yet, but either way, we're always concerned about vehicle weight, and this weighs pretty much nothing. The trouble is finding it. I found 2 sheets in 3 weeks at 5 different Lowe's. I hear there's one in Lowe's in Anderson, South Carolina, but I don't know if I want to drive 2 hours to get it, so I might just hope that something shows up a little more local, but probably need about 4 more sheets of this. So anyone knows where they have them? Let me know. So I forgot to hit the record button when I installed this first piece, but this is basically the bottom of the wall on the left side of the shower. So what I did basically was I cut it to length to match the end of the shower pan frame. I put this square against our center line. And I see that that's now square, perpendicular to the center line, and I went ahead and screwed it down in 4 places where I know there's studs underneath. So that's the first part. Now we'll build the wall up from here. So the walls are up. So if you remember, I squared them to the center line with the with this carpenter square. Measured them out to the end of the pan, and they are pretty solid. I pocket screwed everything in, so it's really nice and tight. In here will go the pan. Make sure it fits. Okay, so the pan will fit here, and we need a 1/2 inch space on all 3 sides for the Curdy board, and we've got it. And then it'll sit just off the back. So this is good. The pan sits nice on here. Next thing to do is to pocket screw these things in and then drill the hole for the drain. The only thing left to do is deal with this area here, and I have an idea. So come check out the garage. So to deal with the top back corner of the shower, I figured out the angles that it's going to take, and then I basically cut some spare 1x3. I have lots of spare 1x3. Cut it to those angles, and then took other spare wood and used it as spacers to hold these things apart. It's kind of a makeshift looking thing, but here's how we're going to use it. So this is, I'm going to put a little extra bracing on probably right here and right back here so I can pocket hole this in, but the thought is that this is going to sit something like, something like that. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to sit. We've got to put the roof, the top in, but my guess is it's going to sit kind of like that so that the walls will come up to here. They'll angle out, they'll hit the ceiling, and that's good. And we've avoided all this mess here. So we'll do that tomorrow morning, but almost done. Well, I think the framing for the shower is finally done. Come take a look at what we got. So, like I said, these walls are 2x3s. They are held on by pocket screws, as you can see, so everything's nice and sturdy. I've drilled a couple holes in here just in case I want to run some wiring through here later. I've got that accounted for. Everything is screwed into the ceiling with these little supports that I put in, and I also pocket holed in. I think I pocket hole pretty much everything. I think I'm going to try to pocket hole my breakfast tomorrow morning. The pan sits right here. We've still got to drill this hole, but if I ever can actually get the shower drain to show up from Amazon, I will do that. But I know we're clear at the spot underneath, and the only kind of crazy thing here, we did have to brace up the ceiling, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and then we built this kind of weird sort of makeshift piece out of spare wood, but it is really tight. So basically the walls will come up to about here, then they will angle out and then hit the ceiling, and the ceiling will actually sit right in here. So we've left spaces where necessary. We also left spaces here for the curdy board to fit in, so that's all good. Now we just got to figure out where to get more of that, and that should be it. So thanks again for joining and for watching this video. If you like it, please click the subscribe button. And by the way, if you're wondering where Tanya is, yesterday was her 50th birthday, so we've been celebrating. We threw a party last week that she's still straightening up from, and tonight we're going to see Andrea Bocelli in downtown Atlanta, so we're really excited. So she's out getting herself prepared for that, but that's why she's not here, but she'll be here for the next video. And by the way, in the next video we'll be putting in some benches, and we'll start the electrical work as well, so it's starting to really feel like it's coming together. So again, thanks for joining. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, and please feel free to leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And subscribe if you want to follow along on our entire van build process. So again, thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.